In 1900, on the tiny forgotten island of Eilean Mor, off the coast of Scotland, one of the most mysterious disappearances in maritime history took place. 3 Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers, the experienced Thomas Marshall, family man James Ducat, and the young, hot-tempered Donald MacArthur, vanished without a trace. They left behind only a cold lighthouse, unsolved clues, and myths that still stir the imagination. No witnesses, no direct evidence. The official report will cite an abnormal wave as the cause of the tragedy. But today we will show you why this report may be nothing more than a convenient smokescreen, hiding something much older and more frightening. Something that lived on this island long before the lighthouse. The island of Eilean Mor, or Big Island, has never been hospitable. For centuries it has been considered a place of ill repute. Local folklore tells of the 7 hunters, ghostly figures whose arrival portends disaster. It was said that sometimes the island would begin to sing, emitting a low, maddening hum that caused people to see things that weren't there and hear voices in the wind. Even the builders of the lighthouse complained of an oppressive feeling, as if they were constantly being watched from the ruins of the old chapel of St. Flannan. It was to this place, to the stone altar in the middle of the raging ocean, that 3 men went to stand their watch. Let's start with the most controversial and important piece of evidence in this whole case, the watch log. And here we encounter the first unsolvable paradox. On the one hand, we have official meteorological reports from across the region for those days. Ships at sea, stations on the coast, all of them unanimously insist that from December 12th to 14th, the weather was practically perfect. Calm seas, clear skies. On the other hand, we have what the experienced keeper, Thomas Marshall, allegedly wrote in the log. Let's read these lines slowly. December 12th. Strong winds, the likes of which I have never seen. Ducat is very quiet, but there was no wind. None at all. So what is Marshall describing? December 13th. The storm continues. Ducat is quiet. MacArthur is crying. How can a storm that doesn't exist continue? Why is experienced sailor James Ducat withdrawn and Donald MacArthur, the youngest and strongest of them, a former soldier, crying like a child? What could break such a man? And finally, the most ominous entry from December 15th. The storm is over. The sea is calm. God is above all. This phrase does not sound like a weather report. It sounds like the prayer of a man who has experienced something indescribable. It is as if he is not talking about the sea, but about the torment that has finally ended. The official investigation simply dismissed these entries as newspaper fiction. That's the easiest way out. But what if they are genuine? What if Marshall was describing not what he saw with his eyes, but what he felt with his whole being? To understand this, we need to listen to the most ancient legend of this cursed place. Folklore tells of the Song of the Island, a low, maddening hum that sometimes emanates from the very depths of the rock. Modern science would call this phenomenon infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that are inaudible to the human ear but can be felt by the whole body. It has been scientifically proven that infrasound can cause feelings of anxiety, panic, paranoia, and visual and auditory hallucinations in people. It creates the sensation of someone invisible being present in the room. Now let's reread the magazine again, but with this knowledge in mind. A strong wind, the likes of which I have never seen. This is not wind. It is a metaphor for an all-pervading, oppressive hum. The physical pressure of infrasound on the eardrums and internal organs. Ducat is very quiet is not just a mood. It is a defensive reaction of the psyche. He withdrew into himself, went deep into his consciousness, trying to shut himself off from this mental noise. MacArthur is crying, is the sound of a broken man. His nervous system could not withstand the continuous acoustic attack. What we are reading is not a weather forecast. It is a chronicle of their slow descent into madness. For 3 days, they were at the epicenter of an acoustic storm, locked in a stone tomb that resonated and amplified the horror. And this psychological hell is the key to everything that happened next. On December 26th, the steamship Gesperus arrives at the island. Joseph Moore, the replacement, begins his ascent. The air is heavy, and the silence is oppressive, unnatural. He finds the front door locked from the inside. This is a key detail. If they were washed away by the wave, who locked the door? He goes inside. The tomb is in perfect order. In the kitchen, on the table, is a plate with uneaten salted meat. Next to it is an overturned chair. The clock on the wall has stopped. But Moore finds the strangest thing not in the kitchen. He notices fresh, deep scratches on the inside of the front door. It's as if someone tried to barricade themselves in, or conversely, break the door down from the inside. Next is the coat rack. 2 yellow waterproof raincoats are missing. The third one is still hanging in place. The official version says that MacArthur ran out to help his comrades. But our new theory, based on the Song of the Island, suggests something else. Let's reconstruct the events. The island sings day after day. The hum penetrates the thick walls of the lighthouse, weighing on the mind. The men begin to experience sensory deprivation, exacerbated by paranoia. MacArthur, pushed to his limit, snaps. He screams that the source of the sound is outside, that something is calling him, that they need to flee the island. He rushes to the door. Marshall and Duca try to stop him, hence the overturned chair. But MacArthur breaks free and runs outside into the cold without a coat. Now the senior wardens face a terrible choice. Leave their comrade alone on the rocks in an insane state where he will inevitably die, or break the main rule and go after him together. They choose the latter. They throw on their raincoats and rush after him to forcefully bring MacArthur back inside. That's why they all went out together, not to repair the equipment, but to save their friend from madness. Superintendent Robert Muirhead, who arrives to investigate, finds traces of monstrous destruction on the western pier. Iron railings are twisted. A box weighing a ton is thrown aside. A piece of rock is torn out. The official conclusion is obvious: an abnormal wave. It's a simple, understandable, and most importantly, definitive explanation. It closes the case. It reassures the families. It leaves no room for madness and inexplicable horror. It's perfect, too perfect. That's why it's probably true. And here comes the real denouement. Imagine this moment, the peak of a psychological nightmare. 2 experienced men are trying to subdue their crazed comrade on a slippery, windswept rock. They shout, they struggle. Their world narrowed to one goal: to survive the battle with the madness spawned by the island. They are completely absorbed in this chaos. They are not looking at the ocean. And at this very second, at this very moment of absolute human vulnerability, a blind, indifferent, but very real force of nature descends upon them. A giant killer wave. The true horror of the Flannan Isles story lies not in choosing between mysticism and reality. It lies in their diabolical coincidence. The island did not kill them with its ghosts. It merely brought them to a state where they found themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. The Song of the Island was the conductor, and the ocean was the executioner. One phenomenon made them defenseless against the other. Do you agree with this version, where the supernatural and the natural are intertwined in one tragedy? Or do you think that one should exclude the other? What detail now seems key to you? The ghostly storm in the magazine, the scratches on the door, or this terrifying coincidence? Leave a comment. If you are fascinated by stories where the answer is scarier than the question itself, subscribe, and support our work with a like. But before you leave, think about this. After the tragedy, other keepers who worked at Flannan Isles Lighthouse often reported hearing strange voices whispered by the wind. Voices calling each other's names. Thomas, James, Donald. Were these the echoes of their last cries? Or is the island continuing its eternal, merciless song? The sea remembers, and the rocks never forget.